Alright, part 3 of my Walt Disney Classics collection. 1987 or 1988 reissue of Alice in Wonderland, just like the Dumbo one I showed at the end of part 2. My uncle gave this one to me back in December '05. And the print date is July 14th, 1988. Funny thing is, the opening to this tape, usually the FBI warnings like fade out and then fade in. Instead, it just cuts to the FBI. It cuts from the FBI warning to the warning screen. This is Cinderella. Now, this was released October 4th, 1988. And this is a pretty good Disney film. In terms of story and characters, the animation might not have the ambition of Pinocchio or Bambi, but it's still a very, very good film nonetheless. This tape has a trailer for Oliver and Company on it. That was Disney's brand new film at the time. For some reason, the label has Cinderella in a normal font, rather than the font used on the front cover. And there's no print date. I know that one is particularly sought after. I also have 3 copies of the original video release of Bambi, which was released September 28th, 1989. Now, Bambi, I have to say, that's one of my all-time favorite Disney films. Being the 5th Disney film, the animation in Bambi particularly is what I really like about it. I mean, it has a great story and characters, and not so much dialogue in it. I think that's what makes it really good. I think the animation and the realism achieved on the forest and the scenery, the art direction's amazing, and they show how they did it. I don't have the Platinum Edition DVD, but the 1997 VHS shows how they did it. You know, Walt Disney's heading on the top of Bambi. And there's a print date on this one. It's July 6, 1989. I do know that Bambi sold quite a lot of units when it first came to video. And I think it was Walt Disney's personal favorite. I'm not too sure. It was either this or Dumbo. Here's my other copy of it. Let me show you the tape. And the print date on this one is September 2nd, 1989. The other one, which I'll show you right here, does not have a print date. And the tape, it's not in the best condition. The reason I have 3 copies is because I had borrowed it from somebody, but it broke. I had to replace it with another tape and give it back to the original, my uncle, that is. I borrowed it from him. So then, I was just left with the empty case until I found just the tape itself on eBay. I filled that up, but 2 relatives of mine got me the same tape at tag sales, or just one of them, not knowing that I already had it, so I just kept it in the collection, just in case one copy burns out. I'll always have a carbon copy. Now, I showed this 1989 repackaging of Dumbo with the 1991 tape inside in another video, but here it is again, just for the heck of it. Also repackaged in 1989 was The Sword and the Stone. When originally released, they used the 1988 tapes inside until they got a whole new master. In the meantime, they just used the old master with new labels. By the way, the Dumbo one was printed August 2nd, 1991, I think. This one was printed December 10th, 1990. Like I said before, The Sword and the Stone is a pretty entertaining film. Alright. Next up, The Little Mermaid. This is pretty much one of the movies that got Disney and animation back on the right track. The other movies that helped that were Roger Rabbit and Don Bluth and Steven Spielberg's An American Tail. The box office successes of these 3 films, along with Oliver and Company, pretty much began the animation renaissance. And this was released May 18th, 1990. Pretty quick after its theatrical release. Well, back then it was considered pretty quick. And a lot of people assume that this cover was banned because of the controversial artwork here, but actually it wasn't. It just disappeared because it went back in the vault very quickly. It wasn't banned. It sold 10 million copies anyways. This is the vertical label, ink label. There's many different variations of this one tape. And the print date is March 25th, 1990. And what do I think of The Little Mermaid? Well, I haven't seen it in a very long time. I think it's a very good film in terms of story and characters. The animation is pretty good, but sometimes it looked a bit rushed to me. That's what I think, but still a very good film nonetheless. Here's Peter Pan, released September 29th, 1990. This is a great film. A really fun adventure. And Captain Hook is one of my favorite Disney villains because he's one of the funniest. And the scenes with the crocodile are great. There's the tape. One of many variations. I think there's like a sticker label variation. There's a variation where the Classics Diamond is on this side, and the font for Peter Pan is much smaller. This was printed April 10th, 1990, and Peter Pan, it's a great movie. Definitely recommend it if you haven't seen it. Alright, here's one of my personal favorite Disney films, The Jungle Book. This VHS was released May 3rd, 1991, and it features probably one of my favorite Disney soundtracks. Some of my favorite Disney characters like King Louie, and Shere Khan is one of the best Disney villains ever, if you ask me. And the songs are just great. And what fascinated me was when I was looking at the making of this film on the Platinum Edition DVD, it showed an earlier version of The Jungle Book that was going to be way different, had way different songs in it. Print date here is February 19th, 1991. Like I said, I really like The Jungle Book. I think it's an excellent film. It's one of my personal favorites. Some have said it's kind of episodic in a way, or episodic. Some people say that it's a bit, like, patched together, but I personally like it. I have another copy of it. Later printing. The difference with this one is, let's look at the tape in here. Has a vertical sticker label. I remember I showed this particular tape in my Disney video collection, part 1, way back in 07 on my old IMAX Nation 80 account. And the print date on here is July 30th, 1991. Look at the inside of the box. Pretty neat.